It is always the greatest delight ever when I have a Hall of Famer, one of the 50, in my opinion, one of the 25 greatest players ever. Rick Barry, Golden State Warriors legend. The man has his jersey hanging in those rafters at Chase Center, retired number 24. He joins me next. We're talking training camp. We're talking Warriors. It's the Golden Days.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win. It was a pretty crazy night.
Let's go.
In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Come on and break me off. 'Cause I get what I want and I like what I see. If you
We are almost there. The jump up. Welcome to the Golden Days. I am your host, Cyrus Saatsaz. You can follow me on Instagram and Threads at DogWild, over on Twitter at Surf Journalist. The program is on all social media platforms at Golden Days Pod. Hall of Famer Rick Barry, much more simpler than me in terms of social media. It's just one handle, at Rick24Barry. Rick, before we get into it real fast, got to give some love to the official sponsor of the Golden Days, and that's BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline is every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. And if you think you know your stuff, get in on the $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to the online casino where you can kick back, relax. You can create that casino ambiance and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here. And the game's always on when Rick Barry's in the house. Again, you can follow him on all social media platforms at Rick24Barry. Sir, again, always a pleasure. How the hell are you doing? How's your day going, sir?
Well, my lungs are burning a little bit because I was away traveling a bunch, and I just got back to the mountains in Colorado before I head down to Florida later this month or early next month. And man, I'm telling you, when you're used to the altitude and then you leave and you're gone for a while and come back, you got to re-acclimate. And I went for a bike ride. You can see I got my jacket on here. This is my wife is calling. Sorry, I didn't turn my phone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'll tell her I told her I'll tell her I'll call her later. It's no problem. But
I thought I was doing that.
We go on bike trips. We go on bike trips. Even though I had a terrible bicycle accident, was in a wheelchair for 3 months, I still ride my bike. I just try to be cautious. And but this is the company we went on. So I just got back from a bike ride, so my lungs are burning a little bit. But it's great weather out here. Just excited to, it was a great summer. It was a great summer for one main reason, as I got to see my son as an Olympian playing in the Olympics, as we've talked about. So that was very special. It was mixed emotions, because of Jimmer Fredette getting hurt and them not getting a chance to medal. But I think he showed off well and played well. But it's also sad because I saw him play his last basketball game. He's done with basketball. He's tired of beating his head against the wall and not really getting much of an opportunity. I honestly have to say, and I'll say it here, and this is not because I'm his father, my son would have been such a great Golden State Warrior player with the way that Steve wants his team to play. It's just, I just feel so badly. I mean, some of my other boys got the opportunity to do something, but Canyon would have been a really great addition to the team. When you have that many players on your team, I'm telling you, if I coached the team, all I can tell you is I would want to have a fistful or more of players like my son with the talent he has, the understanding of the game he has, the quality of person that he is. And so I'll get that out of the way now. That's, everybody say, there he is, father. But hey, I'm his father. I'm entitled to do that. But if those who know me know that if I didn't feel that way about him as a basketball player and a person, not my son, I wouldn't be talking like this about him. So anyway, there's a lot of guys on the Warriors that I have no idea who the hell they are. So it'll be an exploratory season, to explore what they're doing, who they wind up keeping. But here's the thing. I'll get into this. This is very interesting because I'm hoping, to use a Yogi Berra saying, maybe deja vu all over again. This would be so cool. Why am I saying that? Well, I'm saying that because the Golden State Warriors had a training camp where? In Hawaii. Where did the 75 championship Golden State Warriors team start that season? In Hawaii for training camp.
And this is what precipitated bringing you on. You were telling me this on the phone, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the 50th anniversary of your title team.
Coming up next year. Yeah, I mean, well, the year. Yeah,
go ahead.
50 years ago. 50 years ago today was, I mean, we were in training camp in Hawaii. Hard to believe it's been that many years, but I'm hoping that when they were over there, because I mean, they're already, going to be back and playing exhibitions already, because it's a whole different world now. How we had training camp for like a month, or now they play their training camp for a short period of time and they're playing exhibition games. But what we did over there is we bonded as a team. I'm hoping that these guys are able to do that. It might be a little bit more difficult because they have so many guys. I don't know how many they took over to Hawaii, but we didn't take that many guys over there, and we bonded and we became like a family. And I think that's important. If you saw the championship Celtics last year and the way they talked, they had that kind of a camaraderie amongst themselves and that kind of a feeling. And I think that's what it takes, but that's also what makes it so extra special as a player, to be a part of that environment, to know that you have guys who got your back, guys who are willing to sacrifice, guys who are going to be pulling for you, not sitting on the bench hoping you get hurt so they get a chance to play. And trust me, that occurs on teams. Believe me, that occurs on teams. And so I'm hoping that the Warriors, that was the start of it, and they were able to do that. The other thing is that the similarity, we were not picked to finish anywhere. We were not even supposed to be a playoff team. We were supposed to be a non-entity. Okay.
Really?
Oh yeah. No, our team, we were like, nobody even talked. There's no way we wouldn't even be a playoff team. I mean, it was a joke. So the Warriors are not picked to be a contender for the championship. I saw a lot of lists of people in their top 10, and the Warriors were nowhere to be found. Okay. So now's an opportunity to use this bonding that took place and this commitment to show all of the experts wrong. I mean, it's great to have a fuel added to a fire. Then hopefully you have that fire, and add a fuel like that to that fire to get them to want to go out and just show those SOBs that they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So it's a great incentive. I always loved it when people said I can't do this and whatever. Ned Irish, the owner of the Knicks, didn't draft me because he said I was too skinny and flaky. I don't care. Even if he was right, I didn't like hearing it. And I had a lot of big games in my career against the New York Knicks. So I'm hoping that the Warriors use that as a catalyst to start something special and see what can happen. I mean, there's a lot of question marks about them. Nobody's thinking they're going to do anything. So it's not like they're going out there as defending champions with everybody targeting them, and every game they play, somebody's trying to prove something by beating them. So that's gone from the equation. Let's see what happens.
And again, I don't know how it feels to celebrate 50-year anniversary. How does that feel to you? That I remember talking to you when the 40-year anniversary of your title was approaching. And again, and side note, I knew that your Warriors team, when you beat the Washington Bullets, like that was considered one of the greatest upsets in sports history. You sweeping them was the icing on the cake for an upset. But I didn't realize that even before the season started, people were writing you off. That's wild. I mean, what's it like though? Does it hurt? Is it not as big of a deal as I'm picturing? What is it like 50 years later?
Well,
I mean,
here's the deal. It's hard to believe that 50 years have gone. I'm going to tell you something. Just my father, the most profound thing. My father told me a lot of great things and did a lot of, helped me in a lot of ways. A lot of things he did that, I tried not to do because, which is nothing bad. This is not a bad thing, but I'm not going to get into telling the whole story. But he should have done things a little bit differently. I try to do that differently with my boys. But he said, son, the older you get, the faster the years go by. And I am telling you, that is so true. It's hard to believe that my son, the youngest son, is 30 years old. It's 50 years since we had our championship season. 50 years, Cyrus. It's mind-numbing to me. I still can shake my head. I can't believe I'm as old as I am because I don't feel old. I don't know what is it supposed to feel like if you're old. I don't feel old. Okay.
Well, you don't look it either, so you're doing good.
State of mind. It's a state of mind. Thank God I've tried to take care of myself, and God has blessed me with good health and my family, and I thank Him every night for that. But yeah, 50 freaking years. But I would love to see nothing better than the Warriors going down the path that we went down. And because of the way things started, it just, as soon as I heard they were over in Hawaii, I said, wow. And then I said, wait a second. It's 50 years ago that we were over in Hawaii. And I started looking at the similarities, just like with the first championship team that the Warriors had in 40 years. When I started going over that, we talked about that years ago, that the similarities between that team and our team, there were so many of them. So that's always kind of interesting, where you can have an intelligent conversation and not some of the bullshit that these people like to talk about on sports talk radio. That is just, well, what if that, and maybe this, and hopefully that, which is just a way to try to find something to talk about because you got to fill the time.
Right.
So this one has some credence to me. So for me personally, it's going to be intriguing to me to see how this evolves. Not being, with the team and a practice and seeing how it goes. I won't have an inside feel for it, but I'll just kind of watch and see how they play and watch the body language. And it's going to be intriguing for me to watch this season and see how it unveils. Yeah, I'm interested in that.
It's been a little while, Rick, since the Warriors have been intriguing, and I think a lot of that is because of all the new faces, and which makes things interesting at the same time. A report came out today that Andrew Wiggins, who I think is one player a lot of people have their eyes on, just to see if he can maybe turn his career around. Hopefully whatever has been ailing him mentally and otherwise the last 2 years is behind him now with the passing of Mitchell Wiggins, I apologize, who I know you're familiar with as well. But he's missed, he's been held out of practice for 3 days now because of an undisclosed illness. We don't know the specifics, and he's been ruled out of the preseason game on Saturday. Do you have any reaction to that? Is it a big deal to you? Because I feel like for someone who really needs to show his team and the fan base and everyone else that he's committed, that's not a good start, but your thoughts?
No, but if he's saying he has an illness, if he's sick, he's sick. I mean, you can't control that. I mean, it's just, true. And hopefully that's all it is. And I agree with you. Hopefully he's been able to put whatever the issues were that he had to deal with that definitely had an impact on his performance, are behind him where they should be, and stay and not dwell on it anymore and focus on today and worry about tomorrow when tomorrow comes. That's the whole thing, folks. Take care of business today. You can't change yesterday, and you don't have a lot of control over tomorrow other than doing what you have the opportunity to do today and hoping that it has a positive impact on tomorrow. And if you approach life that way, you'll enjoy it a lot more, and you won't cause a lot of turmoil for yourself and a lot of grief and a lot of aggravation and a lot of stress. Life is difficult as it is, without having to put all of those on your back. So, that's my advice. Hopefully the Warriors will figure it out. There's another thing, another similarity that I overlooked. We lost Hall of Famer Nate Thurman. The Warriors lost future Hall of Famer Klay Thompson. So you see what I'm saying? All these little things, really interesting. It's really interesting. But the only difference is that we had someone who came to our team who was such an important element to the success that we had, and that was Clifford Ray. And I don't see that the Warriors picked up somebody that would fall into that category. At least I don't know. We'll see.
Well, the candidates would be Buddy Hield, right?
Buddy's got to fill in, yeah. But yeah, that's a good way to do it, because he came in and Nate left, and it was he and George Johnson. We tandemed that. The two of them together were as good as one great center, and two different types of players, two great guys, and so So hopefully, Buddy will be able to, have a year, shoot 40% or more from 3-point range, and really contribute to the success of the team, because you don't win in today's NBA if you can't shoot 3-point shots as a team. I mean, it's just not happening. You're not winning a championship if you're a lousy 3-point shooting team. I don't see that ever happening, to be honest with you. It has such a major impact on the outcome. I mean, the greatest example of that is just, look at the Olympics. I mean, why did they win the Olympics? Steph Curry went nuts in the semifinals and finals. I mean, 3-point shooting. So anyway, that's the cool part. I think that the similarities, if we get back to it, what could have been, what I would have been even maybe more excited about, would have been marketed. I still believe
who would have been what? I'm sorry,
marketed. To get from Utah, I still think he would have been a really great fit for the Warriors team. We'll see. Maybe some of these other guys are going to step up. You just don't know. That's the beauty of sports. You don't know. That's why they have odds. That's why people lose a lot of money. That's why some people get lucky and win some money. Betting on sports is really a crapshoot. I mean, it really truly is. Why do you think they open casinos, folks? They don't open casinos because they lose money.
Well, they're stealing money. Absolutely. And
the odds are in favor of the house all the time.
And you know this with sports betting, it's literally set up to favor the house because you get a VIG and they're setting these lines up to have even bets on both sides so that they're guaranteed to get that little juice at the end with all those payouts. I'm 100% with you. Rick, when you and the team went to training camp in 74, 75, you went to Hawaii, as you mentioned, and here we are 50 years later. The team's doing the same thing. Very reminiscent to me of Eddie DeBartolo's Niners. He liked to send his teams on trips to build camaraderie and chemistry. What do you envision happening? Like, what's the routine there? Is it a rigorous training camp? Was it for yours? Do you think it's the same now? Was it laid back where you're focused more on just bonding? What was it like for you guys, and what do you envision it being now?
Well, I think that's up to the coach as to how hard he wants to make it, whether it's going to be rigorous or not. I mean, how demanding are you going to do 2-a-days? I hated 2-a-days, to be honest. Well, before I got hurt, I didn't mind them. I was in such great shape. Hell, I could run all day. It didn't make any difference. I ran the hills in San Francisco. I was in such great shape going there.
Wow.
So Fred Hetzel, who was drafted with me when they had the 2 picks and took, Fred Hetzel and myself. And Fred wasn't in shape. Fred actually, after the first couple of days, Alex Hannum ran brutal 2 days. I'm talking about this was brutal. And the running and everything you did, if you weren't in shape. And Fred was actually in bed at the hotel. I remember getting fed intravenously. I mean, so it was quite demanding. But then again, you're also the surrounding. I mean, come on, you're in Hawaii. I mean, right? I mean, so, and I remember we go out on the beach, walk and go to the beach and walk and go into the ocean, whatever. And that's how Clifford Ray got his nickname, Johan. Okay, that's what we called him, Johan. And people write Joha. No, it was Yo, Y-O, Hun, H-O-N, for a good-looking girl laying on the beach. Hun.
Johan.
Johan. It's really, people say Johan. It was Yo like Han for honey.
Hun. Yeah.
Okay, so because we go for a walk and I walk 4 steps and there's Clifford over by some girl on the beach. Yeah. Johan. I mean, so that's how he got his name. So did
this strategy work?
Huh?
Did Johan work? Like, did he actually pick up
Clifford Ray? Unbelievable. This guy. I don't know what it. I mean, he's such a great person, a great personality, and everything. But anyway, yeah, it worked. Let's just say it worked. Not to the extent of Will Chamberlain, but it worked.
Right. Oh, well, the women love tall men, Brick. I mean, we know that much.
I don't know. I guess it's tall black men too that they really love. I don't know. It was unbelievable. I mean, but Clifford is. He's one of a kind. He's like a brother to me. I just love him dearly. So, and all of our guys, we had such great guys they keep in touch with. I'm just so sad. I just wish that all of them were going to be here to see the documentary coming out next year.
Can we talk about that real fast? Since you brought it up, like any updates?
Yeah, they're finishing up the final touches, music, things of that nature. And it's going to come out sometimes next year. I gave my recommendation. They were talking about All-Star Week. I said, it's the worst time you could bring it out. All-Star Weekend is just a freaking madhouse. There's just 9 million things going on. The last thing you want to do, waiting 50 years, is to bring it out during All-Star Weekend. Okay. To me, the best time it should come out would be late February. The Super Bowl's done, right? Baseball's going on. There isn't anything of any great significance. And you do it before Final Four. Right. I mean, not the Final Four, but March Madness.
March Madness. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I think that's the ideal spot to bring it out. So it can get the recognition it deserves. And then I'm hoping, I don't know if they've asked them or not, but I'm hoping that Joe Lacob and Peter Guber will think it's worthy enough to get the Chase Center and have the premiere at the Chase Center.
That would be so cool, Rick. And again, just to update people, this is a documentary on your team 50 years ago, right? The just capturing
74,
everything
75 championship Warriors, right? Yeah.
And a lot of people
kids.
and a lot of people are inadvertently naive to what went down just because a lot of people weren't alive then or are not educated. But you've said this before, and I agree with you 100% that your Warriors team in 75, when you won the title, that was the greatest upset in sports history, sweeping the Bullets. Can you elaborate on that? Like, why do you claim that was the greatest upset ever?
I've asked anybody. I said, come up and somebody tell me a championship in the 4 major sports in the United States where the team that won was such a big underdog, a basically non-entity at the start of the season. People, the Jets in the Super Bowl. No, the Jets were picked to be one of the best teams in the AFL. Oh, the Miracle Mets. No, the Miracle Mets were not picked to be, a dog and nobody. And then any of them, even anyone that you come up with, when they got to the finals, did they sweep the other team that was supposed to sweep them? I mean, come on.
I don't remember.
How much more dramatic does it get in that? I mean, there isn't anything comparable to it. There really isn't. And I feel badly because I got recognition being the MVP and what have you, but the team didn't. We didn't get invited to the White House, right? No, we weren't on the cover of Sports Illustrated, for heaven's sake, winning the NBA championship. I mean, it was, and my teammates got no credit and recognition for being a part of such an incredible accomplishment, and they deserve that. And so that's why I haven't seen it. When I was asked to get involved, Charles Dudley, the Hopper, or his nickname, was the one that was starting to do it. I had people ready and interested. Then I heard that Charles was starting to do something. I hadn't heard from you. So, Rick, I was going to call you. I said, well, if you're doing it, I'm not going to interfere. But let me talk to the guy. I want to find out what his mindset is and what he's trying to show with this documentary. And I told him, I said, look, certainly I want to contribute and be a part of it. I said, but hopefully it's going to be a story about the team and what we did as a group and the unity that we had and what we were able to accomplish together. And that's why it was on our ring. That's the word. Togetherness is on our ring. That's the word we chose.
I can't wait to watch it. And
I'm really looking forward to seeing. I don't know if I want to see it before it comes out or if they had a big premiere and doing it then to wait until see it then. I don't know, because it'd be kind of like reading the Godfather book and then, before the movie. And the movie, it was the stuff I knew what was going to happen.
Don't watch.
It ruined it. It kind of ruined it. So I'm thinking that I don't want to. I don't think I'm going to watch it before it comes out. We had the premiere.
You shouldn't. I know. I like that plan. Just take it all in as a new experience as you're watching.
Yeah, and experience with my teammates who are still alive.
There you go, sir. There you go.
Now we just lost because of Al passing away. We've got, our coaches aren't there, right? Our coaches aren't there. Fortunately, hopefully, Dick D'Oliva, our trainer, is still there. Bill King, our radio announcer, is gone. So many the players. I mean, it's sad. It's just so sad that it's kind of like when these idiots in Hall of Fame, when they elect people and put them in, that they wait so long that a guy who could have had the experience of being honored like that is dead, and they put him in posthumously. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not right. A guy, eventually he's going to get in there, and especially if he's had some health issues, get him in there if you know he's going to be in. Get him in so he can experience that while he's still, alive.
Yeah. I agree. And again, that's coming out hopefully next year. Release date to be determined. This is a documentary covering your 74-75 Golden State Warriors.
They're calling it the Cardiac Kids.
That's what they're calling it, the Cardiac Kids?
So, yeah.
That's the title. Well, there's another documentary too. George Karl was on the program a few weeks back, and he talked about his ABA documentary just kind of sitting there. Prime Video produced this thing. I imagine you're a huge part of this. So that's 2 documentaries at least I'm excited for. I saw
that one. That's I think a 3-part series, and they did a nice job on it. And I was with George actually sitting to watch it. We watched it up at Big Bill's Pizza Place up in Denver. He's a huge ABA fan. I was just up there with a luncheon with a bunch of old ABA guys anyway, and it was very well done and something if you're a basketball fan, I think you'll enjoy watching it. Dr. J, I think is a co-producer, if I'm not mistaken.
I imagine. Well, I'm glad you brought him up because I was going to ask, is there a special, because everyone talks about the NBA fraternity, right? Like if you played in the NBA, you're part of a very special, elite esoteric club. What is it like to be in the NBA and ABA fraternities? Is that a very special group where it's like you, Dr. J, I don't know if Artis Gilmore is still with us. I know.
Oh yeah, Artis is around and a part of that, no question. Louis Dampier. I mean, just whole guys I just saw. Matt Calvin, he's a good part of it, and George Gervin. I mean, yeah, it's all together now. But yes, we do stuff like if guys are in town or something, a bunch of guys get together. You know, Byron Beck, another one from Denver, who's there. Dan Issel, another one. The guys in Denver. We get together at Big Bill's and I have a great meatball sandwich when I go there because I love meatballs.
I'm
and
hungry
so, and he's got really great food, and we get together. In fact, actually, they loved it one day because Bob Pettit has a place up in the mountains here in Colorado, and I had the good fortune of knowing Bob and had actually went on a cruise with Bob, and I took my son Brett when we went on that cruise, and but I really like Bob, one of the greatest players ever in the history of the game, obviously, and I asked him if he would be willing to come down and come to this luncheon, and those guys were so excited to have an opportunity to meet and have lunch with a great person and player in Bob Pettit.
That's incredible. Yeah, and Pettit's still going strong in 91. If I'm not mistaken,
yeah, he does well. I reach out to him every once in a while, see how he's doing, just like I do to my coach Louis Carnesecca. I got to get back. To New York. I thought I was going to get to see him. I was supposed to go Joe Namath's big charity golf event in September, but then the Hall of Fame had a deal in Arizona, and of course I had to tell Joe that I got to go to the Hall of Fame one, and he understood. But I was going to go back and go and try to take Louis and go to lunch or dinner, probably lunch because the dinner might be late and all the traffic and stuff. Go to lunch at Vincent's restaurant out in Long Island. The guy that owns Bobby, who owns the restaurant, he and his brother own it now. They started as busboys. Great story, amazing food out there. Vincent's, check it out, folks. If you'll have some great Italian food, and be prepared. If you're really, really, really hungry, you probably will still have some left over to bring home. I mean, the portions are unbelievable. So, yeah.
And your former coach, Coach Carnesecca, he's turning 100.
Yeah.
Amazing. Wow. I just looked that up right at January 5th. He turns 100. Bravo. That's, oh my God. I imagine that I'm sure you and your friends have so many stories.
Well, you know what? I know what's going to happen. Hopefully he'll be alive. I know somebody back there because I know that Chris Mullen stays in touch with him all the time. And I talk to Chris all the time. They're probably going to have a 100th anniversary thing for him. And I just didn't know the date. Now that I hear it, unfortunately, if that happens, I will not be able to be there. I'm going to be in New Zealand. I leave. New Zealand?
Just a trip, just for fun?
Going fishing, and it's already done. Well, it's some business as well. It's a crazy story. I'm involved with some guys down there who really love my approach to things, and we talked about something. And they have created. These are two guys very successful down there in the advertising world, and they started their own ad agency. They call it the Rick Barry Agency. Crazy story. I mean, it's crazy. But anyway, I'm looking forward to being on that trip. It's all done. It's all paid. So, but more than likely, maybe they'll wait because of the holidays. I don't know. Who knows? But of course, when somebody's 100 years old, you want to have the party as soon as you can, right?
Yes, exactly. We got a fan of yours in the chat right now. The Traveling Yorkita says 3 questions for you. I don't think they're difficult. I hope you don't mind.
Hey, listen, say Cyrus, you know me well enough. I don't care what the question is.
I do. But I always just
if I don't want to answer it, I say I'm not answering that bullshit.
Well, the 3 questions. First and foremost, do you still go by the nickname? I didn't know you had this nickname, the Miami Greyhound.
Yeah, that was what I was nicknamed when I first came out. Miami Greyhound is what they called me. Yeah, the Miami Greyhound.
This is from your playing days at the University of Miami. Correct?
Well, I went to the University of Miami. I was in great shape. I could run all day doing stuff. I was fast and everything. And so down there, they have greyhound racing. They have
yeah, there you go. Okay, there you go. That makes sense.
The Miami Greyhound. There wasn't anything to do. And of course, the Greyhound bus. I mean, that's the Greyhound on the side of the bus.
There you go.
Greyhound. And I think it is a compliment because a Greyhound is an incredibly athletic and fast and lithe, animal. I mean, so I took it as a compliment. It could have been a lot worse, right?
That is a compliment. I think it's a great nickname. The second one, and this one's a very easy one. You've said on the show, it's listed online that you're 6'7". Is that correct? Or
no. I was 6'7" and a half in my bare feet when I played. So with my basketball shoes on, I was 6'8". All right.
Oh,
I'm only 6'5" now. I've shrunk 2.5 inches. I don't think it's the accident with my fractured pelvis and stuff, but people say they shrink when you get older. Yeah. So, and here's the thing: you always have to look at the bright side of things. Look for the silver lining in the dark cloud. I now can get pants a lot easier at 6'5" with the inseam.
That's sobering though to lose some height. That sucks. What? How old
No,
were
it's
you?
actually good because a lot of these crazy places that may be older, they didn't put the door jamb, which is 6'8" is the normal height for construction. And when they weren't perfect, I was walking, I would hit my head on the freaking door jambs if it wasn't what it was supposed to be. So, because at 6'8", when you step through something, you're a little bit smaller. So I never hit my head on a door jamb, unless the guy built it wrong and didn't make it. It made it shorter than 6'8".
Well, beds are like just small enough for you, I'm guessing, right? The
No,
average
I had
bed.
to learn. They're no for
Not
I
really?
need, king. I could sleep in a queen, and now it's not a problem. But I had to learn because of my wife. If you sleep on your side, when I sleep on my side, I don't snore or so, or maybe not as much. And so I've learned to sleep on my side, so I can make it in a twin bed now. It doesn't matter because I sleep curled up.
And this question, I'm actually fascinated myself. I think this is the best question that Urquide has asked. Who was your biggest rival? And he asked in the NBA, but include the ABA in this if that's relevant. Like, who was your biggest rival?
Every player I played against.
So there was no one like arch nemesis that you had in the game when you played, like the one guy that just you really wanted to stick it to. Who?
I wanted to stick it to every one of them. But I knew depending upon who it was, because just think about it. I knew that every game that I played, the best defensive player on the other team was going to be guarding me. And so that made it real simple. Do I want to go out and make myself look foolish by not being ready to play and have a guy who's a really tough defender make me look like shit? No, that's not happening. Right? And so I was ready to play. I can honestly say, Cyrus, 1/4 of one game ever that I can remember was I not mentally ready to play. And I played like shit. And I was so mad at myself that if I had the ability to kick myself in the ass, I would have done it. Yeah.
Who and that was the Game 7 game, I'm guessing.
No. There was just 1/4 of one game. It was just a nondescript, no important game. Just one game ever that I can remember that I was not ready to play, and I was so upset with myself. And I said to myself, I will never ever allow that to happen again.
That's crazy. And it sticks out to me so much that your memory is as vivid now as it always will be and has been when it comes to these moments in your playing career, the losses especially. Every time you tell me that, it still sticks in your craw that you remember these losses, man.
Cyrus,
that's just
for anybody out there, if you have a passion in life, and I'm sure those of you have a passion, I am sure your memories about your passion are probably just as vivid. And hopefully, God willing, that your mind will stay, fresh and active. You'll never forget those things because they were so meaningful to you.
Right.
They leave such an indelible impression on your mind that unless you wind up, unfortunately, getting dementia or something of that nature, that, man, they're there. I mean, it seems some of us like us. That was 50 freaking years ago. What?
That is
what?
crazy.
I can remember stuff. I can remember stuff from 67, which is 33, 50 something. That's more. I mean, come on. This was 1967. And I remember that was yesterday. 2 pick and roll plays with Nate Thurman and myself. It's like they just happened yesterday.
That's insane. There's a question from Evanistics I'm going to get to in 1 second in the chat. But before we leave the topic of height, did you read the story or I forgot if it was Mike Dillonby Jr. saying this, that Trace Jackson Davis, did you read this? That he grew an inch and he was experiencing growing pains this summer. Apparently he's now 6'9". Did you hear about that?
Really? No, I didn't. It's very rare to do that. Usually your growth spurt is over sometime, 18, 19, 20 years old. Or
Correct.
Your growth, not your spurt, but your growth is
Correct.
over. I grew that the same thing because I was young. I don't know if you realize I was done with my senior year in high school playing basketball. I hadn't turned 17. I wasn't even 17.
Oh, so you were still 16 when you graduated.
I was a senior in high school, and I finished the basketball season and had yet to turn 17 years of age playing
Did you
against
skip a grade? How did that work?
Yeah, no, my mother just obviously wanted to get me the hell out of the house and was able to get me into kindergarten at 4 years of age.
There you go. Well, that doesn't surprise me because you're one of the smartest people I know. So that makes perfect sense. Evanistics in the chat writes, what, in your opinion, are the most significant differences between the NBA game now versus when you played?
other than the 3-point shot. Well,
Other
obviously,
than the 3-point shot.
and that's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's obvious. The 3-point
Yeah,
shot,
yeah.
obvious thing. The difference in the game is that there's too much one-on-one.
Ooh.
Way
So
too
that was
much.
not as prevalent in your day.
No.
Interesting.
No, we actually ran a lot. I mean, I still can remember some of the plays that we ran to do stuff to get a shot, to get you in a position to do it. It was like, give me the ball, let me go one-on-one.
What do you think led to the change in that? Was it the 80s?
Well, a lot of that has to do with the skills of the players and some of the things
Okay.
that they can do, but it's also in the coaching style. I mean, and here's the thing, to show you what it's like. I could, the example that people his age obviously would, Evanistics would relate to. The Warriors, when they were in their championship prime, when they had Kevin Garnett, that was their Achilles heel at times. Why? Because Kevin Garnett
Durant. You said Garnett. You mean
not
Kevin
Garnett,
Durant?
Kevin Durant. I'm sorry, Kevin, because I just saw Kevin Garnett doing something. So it's Kevin Durant. This, see, my mind isn't as sharp as you think.
No. I do that too, man. Everyone does
KD, when KD were there, when they were there, the time when they got in trouble was when they stopped 4, 5, 6 passes, cutting, moving, and all, and they went to KD a lot. Now, fortunately, he's a great enough player that he didn't have slews of really bad games.
Right.
But when they did that, that's when they got. If he wasn't on, they got themselves in some trouble, because it also takes the other players out of rhythm and stuff of being involved and touching the ball and being part of it. And you wind up standing around watching KD do what he does. So that's one of the problems. That was one of the problems when you want to talk about people, okay, and doing it, is that you're not playing as a team.
Right.
And I know Steve wants them to do that. And that was the thing, I think, of anything about that team, was the unselfishness they had. And when you looked and saw, a lot of times they had games, they had 36 field goals in the game and 32 assists or some stupid number like that. I mean, that's rare to ever see that happen on teams right now. Nowadays, because the guys, so much of the one-on-one. And, when you talk about James Harden, when he was with the Rockets, I mean, my God, he had the ball for sometimes 22, 24 seconds of the clock. Many times.
I don't know if his usage rate was insane, way too high. Well, but I'm guessing like when you look at players who play iso ball a lot, but they've done it with success. Michael Jordan is the most obvious one.
No. I got to cut you off there. That was not, no. People say that all the time to me. I said, no. They ran the triangle offense. What happened?
So Jordan was not an iso player.
Their brand, the basketball didn't work, which a lot of times it doesn't. They gave it to Michael to do something in the last 5 seconds or so.
Right.
It wasn't like they gave it to him and they stood there and watched him while he's going one-on-one at the initial possession. That didn't happen that often.
So when you say iso ball, you're referring to like the whole shot clock where one guy
I'm talking about to just give the ball to a guy and let him go one-on-one.
Gotcha.
Michael, that wasn't something they came down, throw it to Michael, go one-on-one. No, they came down, they did moving, they did stuff, triangle, moving, cutting, passing. And then it's nice to know that if things aren't going well, you just give it to him. Just like with the Warrior. The Warriors, the same thing. If they run that stuff, if you got in trouble, he can throw it to KD. He can get a shot anytime he wants.
And Phil Jackson famously said they didn't instill the triangle for Jordan. They did it for everyone else. But I think it helped Jordan as well to make him more of a team player in the process.
Well, it does, but it also gets you moving. And it's just, and here's the thing. The biggest thing, it forces, this is what people have to understand. And this is from my father again. Son, the more decisions you force the defense to make, the more the likelihood they will make a mistake. So if you are passing and moving and cutting, you're forcing them to make multiple decisions. And I'll give you the greatest example of all. The Warriors game when they were playing Cleveland at home was a big game at home. And I forget which series because they played them, a number of times.
4 years in a row, yeah.
I remember that they came down. The game was really close. And here's what happened. The Warriors went into pass, move, cut, boom. They cut out, I forget if it was Steph or Clay, and I know it was JR and LeBron who didn't communicate. They both jumped out. It obviously was a play for a shot for Steph or Clay. 3-pointer.
I remember,
right? And what happened? Pass inside, dunk. 2 times in a critical part of the fourth quarter. That's why you play that brand of basketball, as opposed to throwing it to somebody, go one-on-one. Look what happened. They got a dunk because they executed and ran the play and forced the defense into a mistake.
Well, and that
basketball the way it should be played.
You're absolutely correct. And that led to the infamous meme where LeBron James was like pointing, like, what are you doing? And he had that face of, he just had that look of defeat. Like, oh, God damn it. You're just, I randomly looked up the Warriors, if you don't mind shifting gears here, the Warriors preseason record over the last 6 years. The final Kevin Durant season, they were 1-4 in the preseason. Following year, they were 2-3. This was the year they won 15 games. The pandemic shortened season, they were 2-1, 5-0 in the preseason, the year they won the championship. 2 years ago, 3-2. Last year, they were 4-1. In your opinion, what is the importance of preseason games and records? Does it have any relevance? Is it more about the team building? Your thoughts, sir?
I think the statistics that you just gave is your answer. There's no consistency to it. There's a lot of them where they played like crap and they won the championship. Another one, they played great and won the championship. What the hell do you know? It's like the game. You don't know. It's just, and hardly, you're not playing all your best player all the time. I mean, it means nothing.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. You're absolutely right. The year they won the title with KD and they had that 1-4 record, I feel like they were just like going through the motions at that point in the season, right? When you have a veteran team that's stacked, there isn't a lot to play for in the preseason. But
but here's the thing: they I don't know if you went and looked at the stats, how many minutes they played and how many minutes did the team all play together. They still have to use that as a chance to make decisions on their draft picks and stuff, and who the hell is going to be on the team. So it's never going to be a true indication of what they can do. And obviously, then they spent the most of their time, probably, I would think. And that's what you should be doing, execution of your offense in practice over and over and over and over again. And the same thing with your defense and your rotations and stuff. That's what it's about. It's almost like training. It's like almost Pavlov's response with the dog, right? The bell rings because he thinks he's going to get fed. Well, the same thing here. You should have that so ingrained in you that when you get on the court, you know what your role is. You know what you're going to do defensively. You know where your teammates are going to be offensively, so that if you get in trouble, you know where you could look for them. And even then, you should be innovating. I mean, that's one of the things. I could get into this so much about basketball. I mean, stuff that should be done.
Please do. Don't
put
yourself racer. I mean, every word you say, I'm absorbing it.
There's so many little things that need to be, that aren't taught to guys, little subtle things. My God, as great as some of these guys are, they could be so much greater if they would ever had somebody teach them the fundamentals and teach them the little nuances and little things in the game. I mean, I try to tell LeBron James about it. I mean, there's guys that I talked to on the Warriors and nothing, no response whatsoever. Shit. If somebody had to tell me, if somebody that I respected and I'm doing something in life, I'm gonna take up every opportunity I get to learn something from that person and hear about what they're doing, because that's what you want to get better. You want to improve. And so to listen to someone else who's had experience, who's had success, you're so blessed if you're lucky enough to have that, and yet then you don't take advantage of it. Why? Seriously, why? There's so many questions for me when it comes to basketball. And I'll give you another great one, okay? My other one, I think I may have told you finally. How in the world is it that an employee can tell his employer that he's not going to do something that the employer wants him to do to help make his business better? You think he's going to have a job? Is he going to have a job?
I don't have a good answer for you there.
Well, he's probably not going to have a job.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, more than likely, unless he's in the government where they never can fire you. Anyway, so now we have a situation here where players, and the only time I saw it come close to maybe happening is that how many guys like Shaq and so many other basketball players who are crappy free throw shooters were able to say, I'm not going to change. There's no way I'm going to try that. It'd be his decision. It's not his decision. His boss said, you need to learn how to shoot underhanded free throws. Period. End of story.
No, it is crazy. And just to add to that, for anyone unfamiliar, again, you're one of the all-time leaders in free throw percentage in the NBA. You had the underhanded system, and for some reason, players, and it's not some reason, it's because they care about the aesthetics, and for some reason, a lot of players just don't like the look of it, which is insane to me. Like, can you tell the story one more time? Like with Shaquille O'Neal early in his career, You were asked to
Shaq.
coach him.
I still see Shaq. I love Shaq's great, but he would have won more championships if he just would have done it. And I just no way I'm going to do that. I'm a hip hop kind of guy. It'd be bad for my image. And okay, great. I understand that. But the thing about it is, you're doing yourself a disfavor. Why would you not want to get better at what you're doing? And it's not like you're not that good. It's you're horrible. You're freaking horrible at it.
And there's so many.
And you're willing to accept being awful at something because you don't like the way the other thing looks that can make you good or great. That makes no sense to me. And I just, oh my God.
I hear you. It drives you crazy. I don't have the song.
Especially now. Especially they've done this physicists have done reports on this. It is proven from a scientific standpoint that it's the most efficient way to shoot a ball at the free throw line. Are you freaking kidding me? And nobody wants to do it?
Well, Don Nelson,
that's the one I talked about. That was the one thing he told Andres Biedrins, who shot like 18.5%. You have to go and take under him. And what happened? They cut him, and he was over. But that would have been interesting.
Yeah, because for some reason
I can take a player if a player is really willing to take the time and work at doing this, who's a 50, 60, 70% shooter. I will go. We'll go ahead and do it. I'm not take my expenses. I'll come work and do stuff. The deal is that you pay me X number agreed upon dollars for the increase in your free throw percentage, which you should want desperately. I mean, and see what happens. I know there is no doubt in my mind, only though, if he gives a sincere, honest effort to do it and is committed to doing it, he will improve his percentage by how much remains to be seen, but he will become a better free throw shooter. He will. There's no doubt about it.
Draymond Green is. I mean, his free throw shooting is not horrible. He's usually around, but he's around 70%. I mean, he's an example of someone.
That's about the average, 70.
Yeah, but if he followed your thinking,
it's acceptable. But why in the world would you want to shoot 70? It's the only part of the game where no one's trying to prevent you from doing what you're doing. It's the only part of the game that's the same every single time. Same size ball, same size basket, same distance every single time. How do you live with yourself if you can't make 4 out of every 5 that you shoot? Seriously.
Exactly. And my whole point there was like, if Draymond Green is suddenly a 90% free throw shooter,
well, even 80,
but it's crazy to me. In the chat, Sal Paradise, I think that's how you pronounce it, asked, when did you begin to shoot the underhanded? Your dad taught you, am I correct?
Yeah, but I don't know. I could probably go back and look and see somewhere where they did it, but but I don't know. Maybe they burned the papers disintegrated if they didn't have all the technology now back in those days. As to whether it was my junior or senior year in high school. But I know it was one or the other, but I don't remember exactly which one. And so I gave it the effort, and I was 70-something% free throw shooter. My father said, "Son, I think you can be better than that.
Yeah,
if you try this." And so fortunately, he was relentless in it. I went and I really gave a sincere effort, and so I shot over 80% for the first time and just kept getting better. And then I wish I had been smart enough to change it early on. Oh my God, the numbers I could have put up, Cyrus. I changed my technique, and my last 6 years playing, I still have, I think I averaged over 92%. My last 2 years, I shot over 94%. I was getting better and better. That's the whole thing. You should always strive to get better. And that's the thing I'm proudest of there. I kept getting better and better. I was better at the end of my career than I was at the beginning. How many players can say that about a skill that they have in the sport that they played?
No, not many. And Kevin McLean in the chat writes that improving it by 10% means 0.1 more points per game, but that's missing the point that if a player's free throw percentage is that much better, you're going to be more aggressive.
Here's the thing. He's more likely to make a free throw in a critical part of the game. You look at teams, the statistic to look at is not that what it does for him as far as his average. Who gives a shit about his average? What it is did you win the basketball game, right? Figure it out, and you see teams that shoot this. How many more games could they have won if they had shot 80% as a team from the free throw line? And I guarantee you, it's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe like that. That's significant in an NBA season.
Yeah, wildly, absolutely. Rick, before we go, you took a look at the training camp roster, and it's like 20 deep currently, and a lot of these are new faces, players you're unfamiliar with. But let me ask you this: it's very wing heavy, and as you know, the old adage is competition breeds success. when you have a lot of wings competing to play for similar positions, is this secretly a good thing that the Warriors did by stacking their roster with this many wings? Like, are they going to make each other better, or will it have an adverse effect and make things worse? What are your thoughts on just the number of wings this team currently has?
Well, first of all, I can't even relate to having that many players that will be on your active roster. Unfortunately for me, I can see a positive thing in it because it's going to force these guys to have to play their best because they want that starting job. And so it's going to force them to have a really positive attitude and approach to putting everything into it. I would hope that that's the feeling that they had. I mean, unless the guy's just happy to be there, well, I'll sit on the bench and don't play. I'll make my millions. It's whatever. And so if it increases that type of an attitude in the players, then obviously it's worth it because you'll get the best out of what you have. Mm-hmm. Doesn't guarantee you're going to have huge success with them, but conversely, there's always the dark side. The dark side are the guys that don't get the nod going to be a distraction to the team, and how are they going to relate to being put in that situation and missing out on being that starter or the first guy off the bench? In fact, to tell you the truth, I think as much as I love the game, fortunately, I didn't have a problem with that. But if I were a player on a team today and I missed out and I was like 9, 10 or whatever guy, and I would ask to play on the G League team.
Just to get the reps.
To be play.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get better sitting and going to practice and they collect them all this damn money. How the hell am I going to get better? And usually they're putting the guys who are further down, they sign them as the two-way guys. And it's rare, but occasionally they'll send a guy from the main roster back down there, whatever, especially if they had an injury to recover. But if I were one of those guys, I said, no, I want to play in the G League team. Send me down. Let me play.
Absolutely, man. No,
get down there and kick ass, and then let them come back, and all of a sudden they're taking you with a different view. That's the way you want to get a chance to play more on the paper. Send me to the G League.
Yes, sir. I totally agree. Have you had a chance? And again, you don't have to answer this because it could be a dumb question, but are you prepared to give an opinion on who you think should be starting for the Warriors, or is it too soon?
No. I have no idea of the people.
And the thing is,
here's the whole thing. Even if I got to see a couple exhibition games, whatever, I wouldn't even venture to do it. And it's not even fair to Steve Kerr and his staff, because unless you're there seeing them every day and how they respond to things and what they're doing, anybody's opinion saying that that's the bad choice, then no, they should shut the hell up because they don't know.
Rick, I love you. And Brandon Pajemski told me something when I was at Media Day a few days ago, which I think bears relevance to conclude this show. Age is just a number.
That's exactly right. It's a number. It's your mindset. And I don't feel much differently than I did when I was in my 50s. Hopefully that'll stay that way. It's good. I don't run as fast, don't jump as high, and I won't mention the third thing.
Give some love to all your sponsors real fast. Yeah.
Let's go. If you want to go, Medicilef, medicilef.com, medicilef.com. And then
you see right down there, it's and code RB24, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And then the other one is the same situation. I think it could be small RB than the capital, but the other one, Medicilef, and another one is Aloe MD, ALOEMD.com. You can see that down there, and go look on when you get there. All the products, the code works for anything. Great stuff for your wife as well, but it also has a thing called Ultra Repair X. I use that every day basically. And Medicilef has got great stuff as well, and they got a more powerful one that I really use if I'm really hurting. And but again, I think your wives will love some of these products. Their Aloe is just super product.
And let's pump this up as we get close to the holidays so we can drum up.
Yeah, this is great. We'll do this again. And then the last one, of course, is, they're in the Bay Area, my guys, Darren and Roy, GoSleeves.com, and use the code RB24. And it could be all small letters for Go Sleeves, but I think it goes through anyway. But that's Kinesio tape built into sleeves for knees and Achilles and the calves and for elbows. And they're working on more and more other products. So I play pickleball. I was introduced to them. They gave it to me actually at a function that we were doing for Al Adels back in a number of years ago. And so I said, oh yeah, well, send it to me. I'll give it a try. So I put it on my knee that has no cartilage in it. And boy, it felt great. So I never played pickleball with it, but it felt so good. and I read all about it and the technology behind it for recovery. Now I wear it on both knees, my good knee, because you feel good. It feels great on my knee. So, and it's good for recovery, and everybody that I've turned on to them thanks me all the time, and they last. They're high quality. So check them out, GoSleeves.com, and read up about runners are going nuts over it. And there's like a whole ton of football players are wearing it. Some of the 49ers and other guys, the guys are realizing that this is a very unique and great product. I'm in the process of hoping to get them into Australia and New Zealand.
Well, and speaking of New Zealand, again, I know it's a couple months out. That sounds like a phenomenal trip, sir. You're living the good.
It's a long trip.
yeah. Well, I remember I went to French Polynesia, and I think that was like from LA, it was like an 8-hour flight. And then from there, it was like another 4 or 5 if I wanted to keep going to New Zealand. So yes, prepare for a long flight. What do you have any recommendations for people out there for long flights? Because you've traveled as much as
two of the longest flights ever are going down to Australia or New Zealand. That's crazy, 17 or something. Now, I think I was on the second longest commercial flight ever. I went with my wife and Kenya, my younger son, when I went over to go to Africa to go on a safari and to Johannesburg. It was 18 something hours, 18 plus.
What are you taking to make that fly by? Because
I'm
a Xanax person. I just pop a Xanax and I sleep.
Oh no, I don't. I'm a great flyer. What's the difference? I get on the flight. It leaves at night. You have a little bite, go to bed, sleep. Get as much sleep as you can. Get in there. Then when you get up, you watch a bunch of movies. You have something else to eat. You get up, you stretch. You make sure you don't just sit there. Keep yourself a little active. Whatever. Boom, and the next thing you know, you're there.
Beautiful. Well, say hello to the beautiful family for me. Candy and Barry is retired, which means next up are one of your grandkids, and we'll find out who the prospect is there on a future show. Rick, always a pleasure, sir. Love you, and just keep up the great work with everything you're doing. Anything we've forgotten? Anything you want to add, or are we good? We done?
No, I got a lot of other things, and when we do next show, something I'll talk about something from the concussion end of things, and getting that into with hoping to protect kids and all. It's really pretty sophisticated with Jerry Breen down there in the Silicon Valley area. I've been great partners with him. It's one of the things I take all the time with a product that was Biogenesis that I took, which now is being turned into something maybe even better for my knee, which has been miraculous for me. So Jerry and I were working on a bunch of stuff with that. And then another one, this is really cool. Oh my God, Eric Doe created this. How's this? You heard of visualization to talk about stuff deducing? This is AI visualization. It's unbelievable how cool this is. And so he and I are working together. We got all kinds of major sports teams interested in wanting to do this to help to learn how to do. It's really exciting. Mastery is the name of it. Mastery. So I'm really excited about that. And then the other one is Mark Me Down. So go check it. It's a free app. It's getting started. It's exploding like crazy. I mean, Mark Schenkel is the guy who was the original guy with the Biogenesis. Mark and I are working together. I'm working with him. We've got so much interest going, showing it to people. Everybody sees it, goes nuts. MarcMedown. It's a free app. Check it out. If you travel and do stuff, you have an opportunity to put in the different places to go to. Just think about this. When you go to Yelp or you go to TripAdvisor or something, right? You get these, you don't know who these people are. You don't know that. This whole thing is all built upon, I tell you, Cyrus, to go someplace, right? So the recommendations are coming from someone and I tell you, and you tell some of your friends, but the thing is, it originated, you can find out who it is, that if it started from me and you saw something and I recommended a place on this, wouldn't you take it as a serious recommendation? Certainly. Why? Because you know me. Or you know the person who else that knows me. And so all of a sudden you feel really good about what the heck, I'm going to go to some really cool places that these people know about. There it is. Mark Me Down. And that's so absolutely cool. It really is. Right. Yeah.
I just love how much energy you have, man. You're always doing something, working with something. Keep it up, sir. Bravo.
Thank you. Always great to do it. Good luck with Golden Days, with the ZE days, with the ZE.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the first preseason game is Saturday, Rick. I don't know if you're pumped. I'm elated.
I would be. It's Saturday. I would be in my first week and a half of training camp. Still, right now. We didn't play then. We played exhibition games, but hell, we were there for at least 2 weeks.
It is weird. I feel like training camp, part of it used to be like conditioning, right? Getting you into shape. And now it's more about
No, no. First of all, yeah, they did. They went longer, but those are the guys that did that. They suffered. Trust me. I could tell you unbelievable stories. I won't do that about our guys, but that's anyway. It's a whole different world.
Absolutely. It is. It is. Well, we'll have you back on soon, Rick. It's always a pleasure, sir. Follow him on social media at Rick24Berry. It doesn't matter what the handle is, whether you're on Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is, at Rick24Berry. Your Instagram account's my favorite of all of them, though. And thank you, sir.
I got one last thing to say.
Please.
I know for a fact, unfortunately, it probably wouldn't be in the competition, but the spelling bee, if somebody told those great spellers and all, because it's not a word in the dictionary, spells your last name, they probably would get it wrong.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much, sir. Always a pleasure. Bye, everyone.